but I want to get fancy on the whiteboard here and talk about a couple things that gave me permission to train hard, to train like an athlete again. And the premise of a lot of this is, or most of it, is based on the book Outlive by Peter Attia. So if you're super interested in optimizing your health span, how we live later in life, then I suggest giving it a read or a listen to. Okay, a lot of good, valuable information there. It had a huge impact on my perspective of how I'm applying fitness as I'm getting older, turning 40 soon, and how I'm thinking about those things going forward. So here's the gist of the graph. Where's the best place to stand? Right. So over here, we have X and Y axis. Okay? Health and fitness. This is no health and fitness. This is lots of health and fitness. Okay. This is our age. Now, these aren't perfect breakups, but this is like how I think of it. Okay. So basically from birth, pretty fortunate. We're born, most of us, hopefully born pretty healthy, nice opportunity to grow healthy and through those developmental stages, right? So we have growth. Pretty much peaks potentially a little earlier, but maybe around 18. Okay, so we just have this natural growth. Okay, this line here versus this line here, right? This is deviations. So this line here is a child, healthy family, does healthy things, involved in sports, activities, right? So they're developing through sports. I mean, they're gaining muscle, they're staying healthy, active, athletic, which is contributing to their health and fitness up until, maybe they go off to college, do some cool stuff, or like me, got fat in college. So 18 to 30 years old, let's just say there's kind of seems to be maybe a general peak of health and fitness, right? So as we get older, somewhere in this 35 to 45 year range, I'm calling the grind of life. Start a career, maybe start a business, okay? You start having kids, work-life stresses start become a real thing, right? You're in the grind of it. And it does seem this curve can be a steeper fall off for some than others, but during this time is where maybe complacency gets in, right? This is my general curve of the healthy athletic kid bringing up. Childhood obesity is increasing at a rapid rate. Absolutely disgusting, but it is. That's this curve. Kids that don't have a snowball's chance in hell. They barely get anywhere, living on iPads and computer screens, don't do sports. Parents eat like shit. Kids probably eat like shit too. And these poor youngsters, there's the potential for this curving into the sick care category at a very young age where you're managing type 2 diabetes. The amount of children with type 2 diabetes is absolutely, it's terrible. It's terrible. Totally preventable. Childhood obesity, totally preventable. And this is on you, parents. So think about that. So you have this curve. This is just say, I don't have a chance unless I take control of my own health somewhere in here, right? I'm not putting these younger years on the kids. This has to do with parents. Then we have those that are fortunate enough, have a great start, involved in sports, they get up to here. They get into the grind. The grind is kind of that midlife crisis. Age 40 is kind of where that happens, right? Seems that a lot of people in this range just end up giving up on their health and fitness, don't have time to work out, don't have time to strength train, don't have time to meal prep, don't have time to engage in healthy thought processes that lead to healthy outcomes. They don't prioritize. Priorities shift, all right? That happens to a lot of people in this time frame. And I figure around age 45, my guesstimation, a lot of people just give up. They give up. And then health and fitness just falls off a curve, right? In here, this is where you go to the doctor, maybe the first time when you turn 50 and they run some labs and it's like, not good. And somewhere in here, you have to make a decision. If you're going to take your health by control before heart disease, cancer, diabetes, metabolic dysfunction, it's a metabolic sickness, but it's basically diabetes, right? What's the other one? Alzheimer's, neurodegeneration, right? Those are like the main categories that start taking you into this path of sick care. And what sick care is where your quote unquote health is managed by pharmaceuticals, okay? You're not healthy. You have drugs managing symptoms. You are not a healthy, functioning human being at this point. You're managed by pharmaceuticals. You go into the sick care category where physicians can use these drugs to, I guess, keep you kicking, all right? But it's not quality of life, all right? Those that do nothing, take care of nothing, it seems you don't make it too long, all right? The outcome's not real great. Those of you that gave up, there's a chance sick care, the drugs, can keep you kicking, keep you moving a little bit, up until maybe mid-70s. Seems like, I think the average age of death now is like 73, but that's not healthy quality of life. You're breathing, like you're not doing cool shit. You're not out there slaying ski slopes with your grandkids. You're not. So, if you're in this range, 40 to 55, and you haven't done anything to promote muscle mass, fitness, health in the last 10 years, I'm gonna say, if you're in here, you need to figure it out. That's kind of the last chance to really turn the ship around and to gain back years of your life in health. All right? So here's what I'm going for. I'm pushing for peak athletic performance, and here's why. I want to be as strong as I can, as high of VO2 max as I can. I'm not doing this for sport. I'm purely doing this to be a badass grandfather. Be there for my kids, my grandkids. All right? So I got in the 30s, and in here, I kind of had a depressive moment of life. But in the last year, 16 months, I've taken major control of every aspect of my health and fitness and really started pushing, okay? Pushing the envelope of what I'm physically capable of with a couple caveats. And my goal is to get as high on the health and fitness continuum as I possibly can by age 45 to 50. I want to keep pushing the envelope of what I'm capable of there, because I figure around there I'm going to be working similarly as hard to maintain what I've built, because guess what? As we age, tissue dies. It's just a fact of life, right? There's not overcoming it. You're born, you grow tissue, as you age, tissue dies. At the rate of tissue death, we can stem off and overcome through physical training in a massive way, all right? So my goal, knowing that fitness and strength is going to fall off, my goal is to control the rate of the fall off the best that I possibly can, which is going to be, my goal is at 85 to be functioning 20 years better than my counterparts. I want to be comparable to a 55, 60-year-old at age 55. I want that level of agility, health, stability, balance, neurocognitive function. And one of the best things you can do for your brain health is training. One of the best things you can do for your heart health is training. One of the best things you can do to prevent cancer, metabolic disease is training, okay? Fitness, exercise, strength training, working on your VO2 max are the core principles of winning this equation. Now, building muscle, optimizing health. There's a couple key tenets that you need to think about, right? So, you need to build muscle, specifically type 2 muscle. That's the explosive muscle, right? That's power generating muscle. The longer we can hold on to that, it's one of the first thing that goes when training. Most people after age 40 do nothing explosive, nothing sprint-like after age 30. It kind of just shuts off. You do some curls, you do a little bit of this, do a little bit of that, maybe, but nothing explosive. Maintaining that type 2 muscle fiber as long as we can is probably one of the best things that we can do for our skeletal muscle system as we age, all right? So want to maintain type 2 muscle fiber. My favorite way to do that is the barbell. Nothing generates more explosive force than having to move load on a barbell. Now, that has to be done right. You have to do it with good form. You have to have the training acclimation to train right with that. And what I love about the barbell for that training is we can take it from a PVC pipe to maximal load. We can meet you where you're at on your fitness journey and progress it properly. It's completely scalable down to somebody that's never lifted to the Olympic athlete. There's such a continuum we can work on as both coaches and athletes, longevity athletes, see what I did there? With the barbell. That can't be done anywhere else. Okay, in a very controlled, coachable environment. All right, so the barbell is my number one way of type 2 muscle development and maintenance. All right, we need to build VO2 max. We need to get our anaerobic and aerobic systems developed. All right, the higher our VO2 max, the better our health span. People with high VO2 maxes tend to live a very long and healthy life. So, building VO2 max is going to be anaerobic work. Metcons, stuff we do in group class CrossFit. Building the base foundation of a VO2 max is aerobic capacity. This is going to be the zone 2 work, right? There's going to be the hiking, cross-country skiing, jogging, running, biking, all the fun stuff we can do outside that's not as much fun in the gym setting, all right? We can get in later of various prescriptions, but the bulk of my training is done in our group classes. That's the bulk. I meet most of my needs for optimal long-term health participating in our group classes Monday through Saturday sometimes, mostly Monday through Friday. All right. Healthy carbon intake. What does that mean? Not eating like an asshole. All food turns into carbon. We either expel it if we're at a deficit, we burn off more carbon than we intake, or it converts into fat. It all gets broken down to carbon. Now, the pathways of getting food into usable carbon, and ultimately ATP, adenosine triphosphate, to be used as energy, so I can do this shit with my hands, or lift some weights, is interesting. There's some variables there. Unprocessed food can cause dysfunction along the way of achieving that outcome with a lot of waste in the process, and cause inflammation, gut discomfort. So the processed food, although most likely turns into majority carbons, the pathways there seem to be garbage. When you switch to whole healthy food, whole food, your body wants that. It knows how to deal with that. It knows how to work with that. Your hunger signals are going to be more in tune with whole food versus processed food, all right? So at the end of the day, nutrition is carbon, food. Now the carbon we need, protein, fats, the macronutrients, protein, fats, and carbohydrates, these are all required macronutrients of a healthy body. They just are, okay? Protein is first, protein is king. Carbohydrates for activity and muscle glycogen replacement, brain function. Fat, sustainability. Most of our days spent in a very aerobic state, very low heart rate state. Our body's gonna use fat for energy during a lot of that, all right? We can get into more nerdy stuff later on that. But I want a healthy carbon intake, so I wanna eat healthy whole food, right? Prioritizing protein, carbohydrates, fats, right? Next, I wanna do that at a slight deficit. By slight, potentially 200 calories deficit per day. Lots of studies show caloric deficit leads to longevity. Caloric surplus leads to less longevity, all right? So we wanna be at a slight deficit. How do you know if you're at a slight deficit? One, you're not gaining weight. You're not getting fatter, right? You might be gaining muscle, but you're not getting fatter. Two, you should feel slight hunger throughout the day. We shouldn't feel full and satisfied all day long, right? It wasn't until the current grocery store and mass farming production did we have access to food at the rate we have food available? Drive-throughs and all this, now you got DoorDash, you got delivery food. Like, you should feel bouts of hunger throughout your day. And if you're prioritizing protein, right, that's going to keep you satisfied, because most protein, I do eat animal protein, big believer in animal protein. You're also going to get healthy fat with that, and that's going to keep you satisfied. But if you're not feeling hunger, your chances are of hitting a deficit, being in an actual deficit, are very low, right? Another big deal here in this continuum is injury prevention. If you're getting injured in your training program, if you're getting injured training, and newsflash, running is the highest occurrence of injuries of any recreational activity. Bet you didn't know that, did you? That's because running improperly leads to injury. Running correctly is great. Do all the running you want. It's a natural gait for the body. Do it all you want. But injury prevention. So with this, can't train like an a-hole. I'm definitely have done that. I'm really trying to be more mindful of how I train in injury prevention, while still pushing the envelope on how much load I can move, how fast I can do workouts, how much harder I can go, but really still making sure I'm being mindful, because injuries lead to less training, which leads to faster degradation of muscle and fitness. So we want to train, push, but also make sure we can recover from said training. Big keys to recovery: carbon intake. I didn't write it up here. Let's throw it down here at the bottom. Oh, not sleep. There we go. That's just sleep. All right, sleep's huge. Preventative healthcare next. You need to be working with a medical provider that actually gives a shit. It's that simple. Most of our blood work these days ends up being in this ranges. And these ranges on your lab sheet is based on general average data across all blood tests of the population. I don't know about you guys, but I don't work my ass off to be lumped into a category that the rest of society is participating in. I'm a hell of a lot healthier and do a lot more stuff than the average 40-year-old in society. So I don't want to get my labs and be like, oh, thumbs up, you're in the range. Range of what? A whole bunch of unhealthy people? Cool, I'm pumped on that. No, it's shit. So making sure you're working with a healthcare provider that wants to optimize your labs, get you to an optimal place, and use the tools and resources they have to do that. And we'll get into a longer one later with smarter people than me on the topic about how we look at labs, how we approach labs, and the tools available to help somebody like you or myself really optimize potentially things that are outside of our control, right? Hypocholesterolemia being one of them. If you have high cholesterol and your liver's not able to process and metabolize the cholesterol, in some cases, you might not be able to achieve an optimal lipid panel without the help of some things, right? Again, we need to get medical people on here to talk about that, not just the measly CrossFit coach, you know what I'm saying? But these are things that I'm working with healthcare provider, my wife mostly, to guide optimal outcomes here. My cousin's also a big influence in that. And I also got another local provider that I work with. So preventative healthcare is a big deal. We want to catch things before they even remotely put you in the sick category. For instance, I'm just going to throw this out there. Say your A1C is 5.9. It's still in the green, but you're 34 years old. Think about that. You get the end range of green at 34 years old to where you have potentially type 2 diabetes when you're 40. What does that look like 10 years? Obviously, something's not working right, that you should be on the far left side of that category versus the far right. These are things that we want to catch early and not just lump you in a category that leads to, sick care 10 years down the road when we could have caught it 10 years earlier, looking through it with the right lens and the right goals. All right? So, my goal, to recap, is to be a badass motherfucker to age 45. And then maintain that. Fight like hell, train hard, train smart to maintain a slow, steady, inevitable decline as I approach the later years. And when I'm 85 and still doing cool stuff, it's because of the work that I did here. All right? You're not going to overcome massive amounts of sick care later in life. You can always improve your health regardless of where you're at in life. It doesn't matter where your age is. You can always make positive steps to get years back. But I'm at age 40 really thinking about what the next 40 years looks like and taking control of that now because I have the information now. I know a lot of people out there don't have the information now. And I want to get that information out so you can start making these choices. And again, I've seen people completely flip their health around in later years of life. Gain massive amounts of not just years back, but they gain health span back. They gain life back. They're not just kicking and breathing into these later years. They're actually living a quality of life. All right? Been at this over 16 years now, seen a lot of people train starting at different points in their life, and I've seen success across here. But I'm going to tell you from this like age 30, maybe 25 if you're really awesome, but like age 30 to 45, it's like a 15-year span there that you can just optimize and give yourself, lights are shutting off on me, give yourself the best opportunity to succeed at your health span going forward. All right? So like I said, that wasn't going to be a 90-second video. It just wasn't. But this is my mindset. This is my thought process that flipped the script, gave me permission to train like an athlete for Healthspan. And I believe everything we do here in the gym is setting us up for absolute success going forward into our life. All right? And if I didn't, I would change the program. But everything that I've read, everything that I've researched, the way we train both muscular endurance, muscular development, type 2 muscle fibers, building our VO2 max, like we hit it all here very well. Okay, very well. Balance, stability, flexibility, coordination, all these things we're training in the gym, our gym, that gym, every single day. All right, and that's why I truly believe I'm setting myself up for huge success is because of what we do here. I'm really annoyed by these lights. Nice, got a little light back. And I want you guys to have that same opportunity. Now, and make sure that I'm sharing the information with you so that you can be more informed about where you're at, age and fitness and health-wise, and start taking meaningful action now versus waiting until the red flag comes at some point in your life. All right? I'm trying to push those red flags as far down the continuum as I possibly can, and that's taking proactive approach now to do that. All right? You guys, if you got questions on this stuff, hit me up. I'm really trying to do my best to share this stuff with y'all. And again, a lot of this really comes out of the book Outlive with Peter Attia. A lot of the content, him, Andrew Huberman, are pretty much the only two people I kind of listen to on a lot of this stuff. But that book Outlive had a huge impact on me personally and my perspective of how I'm going to not just live my health and fitness going forward, but also how I'm going to coach, how I'm going to try to mentor all of you to also dominate this going forward. So it's a great read, but this is my chicken scratch of how I visualize my outcomes and how I want to dominate. All right? Love you guys. Stay healthy. And I just love you. Love you. See you.